Howdy folks, welcome back to the Skep Vtuber channel. Taking a break from Duel Links as I'm kind of hating the format, as you all know. Playing something different than Scarlet Violet Battle Stadium singles. I am participating in my first ever draft league, the International Nexus Tournament, hosted by Brudda Cahoots on YouTube. Link to his channel will be in the video description. All coaches in the league are expected to make their own draft analysis, so this is mine. As you can see, I am the coach of the West Coast Valiants, and I'll be telling you about the team we'll be playing with this season, why I picked the Pokemon, and what I expect out of the season. So without any further ado, let's take a look at our first team member, going in ascending order of points value here. Alrighty, so here we have our lowest point member of the team here. 2 points, we drafted Altaria. After the draft concluded, I dropped a couple of other Pokemon to pick up Altaria, plus another big ticket item Pokemon, which I will discuss as we get to it. I noticed one of the opponents coaches in the league had a rain team, and I was really down bad for ways to like counteract that, so I figured this thing has Sunny Day and also Cloud9, which I thought would be funny. Not too much other than that. It's sort of a bulky defensive pivot with U-turn. Can potentially perish trap things. Natural Cure Rest is also very nice. Not a huge star player, but I'm sure it'll be able to pull some weight. This is the first member of the team, Altaria, and it cannot Terra, but our next Pokemon can, because I did draft another low-tier Pokemon because I had the absolute wrong idea about how draft leagues worked. So let's take a look at our next member. The next member of our team here is Golem, our first Terra Captain, a 2-point draft and a 2-point Terra Captain. I sort of convinced myself that everyone would be picking all the good Pokemon, so I should probably have my eye on some low-tier Pokemon that I really wanted, because I figured that like other people would be looking at the low-tier stuff, and Alolan Golem, I think, is the best Pokemon in Tier 2, so I really wanted to have it. This is our Stealth Rocker, our Spinner, our anti-hazard control, potentially. Galvanize Explosion is also nice. Sturdy Custat Berry, Sturdy really anything is nice. Galvanize sort of lets you spin in front of ghost types, which is very nice. And of course, Terra Fighting, Iron Defense, Body Press is not bad on a Pokemon like this. Terra Electric for those mighty either explosions or takedowns, and Flying to dodge the earthquakes that we are quad weak to. I have a lot of hopes for Golem, but I mean, I also would not have drafted him if I knew that like he was going to be available to the literal last round. I drafted him a lot earlier than I probably should have. Next member of our team here, we have Typhlosion Hisui. This was the actual last Mon I drafted in the actual draft. Altaria was a transaction during a grace period, and I have a couple other transactions as well. This was a spin blocker. I'm going to be 100% honest. I forgot I had a fire type on this team already, and I probably would have drafted Golurk if I remembered I had a fire type on the team, but this thing is a good spin blocker, and a lot of spin blockers are a lot of rapid spinners are steel type, and Hisui and Typhlosion can threaten Scarp Eruption potentially. I was gonna Terra this thing, but then I drafted I did a transaction during a grace period that gave me a different Pokemon that I would have rather Terra'd. So Typhlosion cannot Terra, which is a little rough because this thing doesn't learn Scorching Sands, and I thought it did. So I'm hoping this thing can perform well, but I'm not sure. This is just, like I said, a spin blocker, and we'll see if it can perform. Potentially some team support as well with its Infernal Parade or whatever the hell that move's called. Next up is Araquanid, our first Tier 6 on the team. This was another transaction. I originally had like a trifecta of low-tier shitters planned out, and I got rid of one of them for this Araquanid. This was originally a Unova Samurott, because that was a low Terra point Mon. I wanted to get potentially 3 Terra Captains, but I decided against that, and I wanted potential web support as well as some other utility that Araquanid provides. Super bulky, web setter, leech life is a move that I really like. So hopefully Araquanid can prove useful this season. Our second 6-point team member is Chinchino. I actually drafted this into the draft. This was a pick that I took way too early. I saw it got tidy up, and I was like, this is my hazard remover. I want this thing on the team. This was one of the mons I had in my head going into draft that I really wanted, and given that I thought it would be taken as like a premier low tier mon, I took it at like round 5 of the draft. So maybe should have waited on picking it up, but I didn't wait on picking it up. So Chinchino is on the squad, and I'm very excited. It can do both loaded dice technician and skill link heavy duty boots, or skill link and other really good items. So I definitely think this is the best tidy up user. Remains to be seen if being the best tidy up user is good enough to prove fortuitous in this draft league. Moving up to our 8-pointer and second Terra Captain, Flygon, Iron Mike Flygon, Mike Flygon's Punch-Out. Super excited to use this Pokemon. This was not a draft pick. I originally had Quagsire because I wanted a ground type. Ground types are, of course, really good to have. Stab Earthquake cannot really be understated. And Quagsire wasn't really doing a whole lot on the team. I didn't really know if I could make use of it because I kind of got a hyper offense thing going. I originally drafted Iron Jugulus as well, and I wanted to get a Quark Drive team going because I had Pincurchin as well. But I was like, that's probably just a bad idea. So I got rid of Pincurchin, Jugulus, and Quagsire, and picked up Flygon as our second Terra Captain. Fire, Steel, Ground. One of the Terra types had to be Stab, and I figured Ground was probably better, since there are probably going to be mini games in which I just do not run a Dragon type attack on this Flygon. Better to go Ground, because I'm more or less always going to be playing Earthquake on Flygon. Very excited to use this Pokemon, and I'm hoping it will prove useful in the series. Here we are with our first high-ish tier Pokemon, tier 11, Grimmsnarl, a really good hyper offense Pokemon, facilitating anti-hazards with Taunt, stopping sweepers with Thunder Wave, stopping setup with Taunt as well, potentially setting up screens and threatening Sucker Punch. I have a lot of type overlap I noticed on this team, so maybe would have been better to get Klefki instead of Grimm, but we have Grimm, and I'm going to make the most of them. So this is Grimmsnarl. He's here. Say hello. Next up, we got your girl, Ogerpon. Cornerstone. Ogerpon Cornerstone was my second choice for Rock-type user because it is one of the 2 Pokemon in the game that get a 100% accuracy Rock move. I do not think this Pokemon is as good as Iron Boulder, but this Pokemon was available, and Iron Boulder was not. Iron Boulder was actually going to be my first-round pick, but someone snatched it up before me. So Ogerpon, Cornerstone is on our team. I think it's a pretty good Ogerpon, being that it has Sturdy. It's easier to get a Swords Dance off with this, although of course you do lose to priority, which is why I wanted Indeedee for this team to make Swords Dance Ogerpon more threatening, but we make do with what we have, and Swords Dance, Trailblaze, Rock Ivy Cudgel, Hornleech. This Ogerpon I think is the most versatile, given that Rock and Grass have a lot of offensive coverage, and I'm excited to be using one of my favorite Pokemon in this draft league. Speaking of type overlap, like I was talking about earlier, here's our second Dark type and the first half of our Mean Girls core. We got Shevile, the Weavile. This was another transaction when I dropped Iron Jugulus and Pincurchin. This is what I picked up. I wanted a priority user. And this is another knockoff user that gets Ice Shard. Triple Axle, of course, is a very good move to kill Focus Sashers potentially. Can be a Focus Sasher itself because we have 2 hazards removers in Golem and Chinchilla Man. And just a lot of stuff we can do with this. Focus Sash, Life Orb, Boots. I'm super excited to be trying this out because Chi and Pow is banned, and in every other format I play, there's basically no reason to use Weavile instead of Chi and Pow. So now I have an excuse to play with this incredibly cool Pokemon in Gen 9. Second half of our Mean Girls core here, we got Sneasler to complete the Sneasler Weavile core. That isn't really a core, but they are two Pokemon that look similar. This is one of my favorite Pokemon. This was another Pokemon I knew for a fact I wanted to use, and the real reason, or the main reason that I wanted Indeedee, because, like, how the fuck are you beating Unburdened Sneasler without priority? Very unfortunate we don't get to pair those two together, but I'm sure we can maybe make something work here. Very excited to try out different sets besides Unburdened. Poison Touch, of course, is very popular, or was when this Pokemon was allowed in Overused. Can't Terra, but who needs to Terra? This Pokemon is absolutely fantastic. Probably the best Pokemon we have on the team. Finishing up our draft analysis, we got two Paradox Pokemon to talk about. We got two of my favorites, Iron Moth. Absolutely fantastic Pokemon. We can potentially run Booster Energy, Boots, Specs, gives U-turn for pivoting. Specs Overheat is very strong. Can't Terra this guy as well, but I'm sure 140 special attack, potentially backed up by Fiery Dance boosts, will be enough to put in some work. Great special defense and speed. Not incredible HP. But I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm really excited to use this Pokemon. I'm a big fan of it, so I wanted to use it on my team, and this was like my third pick, I think. Maybe third or fourth. I forget if I picked this or Ogerpon Cornerstone first. And, of course, the mascot, the West Coast Valiant themselves, Iron NB here. Fantastic Pokemon. I was totally fine not using this Pokemon on the team, especially since we have like two fairy types now and two fighting types. When I was looking for priority users, I found like all of them were fighting types, and I was like, shit, I can't draft any of them because I have Iron Valiant and Sneasler. I'll be honest, I would have preferred to have drafted Iron Boulder than this thing. I do think Iron Boulder is better. 124 speed, getting the jump on Valiant is just so incredibly relevant. So I'll have to keep some stuff in mind for that matchup, but obviously Iron Valiant is insane, and I'll try to pull off some real cool sweeps with this fella. I'm a big fan of them, and I'm excited to be using them on the West Coast Valiants. So that is the full team breakdown. Iron Valiant, Iron Moth, Sneasler, Weavile, Ogerpon, Araquanid, Typhlosion, Altaria, and Terra Captains Alolan, Golem, and Flygon. Very excited to be playing in this league. I hope we do well. Let me know in the comments which Pokemon you think is going to be the star of the show. Let me know what we should drop when we do transactions. And check back on the channel next Sunday for the first round of the INT. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Leave a like and a comment if you made it this far into the video. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.